Okay. Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we added incremental quest tracking to Festival Buddy 2. So as you're, for instance, defeating the grumpy trees in the grumpwood, or grouchy trees in the grumpwood, you'll see 1 out of 9, 2 out of 9, 3 out of 9, and so forth in the Festival Buddy tracker, quick guide tracker. Today we're going to work on final issues and then push out this update to Festival Buddy 2. Following on to what we were talking about in Little Redhead's stream, Little Redhead was way behind on Travel Window 2 updates, had 3.1.0, and it's been increased to 4.1.1. That actually raises a question about that, which I will look at next. So yes, we're going to finish up Festival Buddy 2, get that shipped out, and as always, if you have any thoughts, feel free to jump into chat with questions about Lord of the Rings Online in general, plugins in specific, whatever is on your mind. Okay, so Little Redhead was behind. Let's go over to LOTROinterface.com. Have to type it correctly. And go to Travel Window. Now, there's a number of things that come up when you do Travel Window. I do recommend just sorting by date. So newest is first, and then you'll see, Travel Window 2, recently updated. The author is Hyos, or some various pronunciation on that. So let's come on in. We can see that this has been updated to 4.1.1. And we can see that the 3.1.0 version that Little Redhead was on was released in last year, so you're not too far behind. There's been 3.2.0, 4.0, and 4.1 since then. Okay, so if you are installing plugins, you can do it manually. Just follow any steps that they have on this page. Otherwise, you can download the third-party program LOTRO Plugin Compendium and have it install these for you. For instance, I could add a new plugin, Travel Window 2, select that, add it in, and we can see it's already done installing. So we'll get rid of that. So let's take a look at Travel Window 2. Remember, if LOTRO is running when you add or remove plugins, you'll need to hit this green refresh button, and we can see Travel Window 2 there. So we're going to go ahead and load it up. And in our plugins window, we can see Travel Window 2 4.1.1 by Hyos and White Rabbit 963. Awesome. So I have a window here, and I must say it's a little bit too small to fit all the potential icons it could. So we're going to make that a little bit bigger. As was mentioned in a previous, in Little Redhead's previous stream, you can click and drag icons to reorder them. Though I'm not sure if you can set something to be last. Yes, you can. Okay, just put it on that icon. Cool. But there was a new mode that was being discussed, and we're going to go into options first of all. And the mode, instead of the item grid, let's go ahead and do map view as our mode. So when you open this up, we get a map. Now, it doesn't seem to be very resizable. I'm exploring this for the first time. But that's okay. It is within the size of a 1920 by 1080 screen. At the bottom of this, we can see there's fast ways to swap between Eriador, Rovanian, Rohan, Gondor, and Haradwith. I am seeing some oddities when I hover over a grayed out button.
Yeah, it goes.
I don't know what's going on with that. Why is it doing that? Alright, so I don't know that Hyos is still in chat with us, so I'm going to write down my thoughts as I have them. Hovering over a grayed out map button makes the whole window semi-transparent. Why? Cool, okay. But we can see if I wanted to go to Eriador, we have a bunch of different possible travel skills. Wait, return to the travel. Where does that come from? Is that a skill you can learn? Or is it just the map? Is it assuming you have maps in your inventory? Return to the tracery archives in Rivendell. I'm going to the wiki and searching for that. There's a thing. It's a possible reward from any tier delving, but I want to buy it. Oh, that's frustrating. Okay, well, I won't be able to do delvings on this server for a while because while I was at server cap over on Treebeard, I am not on Peregrine. Oh well. Okay, good to know. Something to strive for, I suppose. Return to Ostgluth. Do I have that? I do have that. Okay. This was something that Little Redhead was pointing out, that the little green border around the edge is really subtle. And so if you're not using that to base on, do I have this thing or not, the color of the skill itself can be a little uninformative. But I can see the green border now. Okay, so there's a return to Mickle Delving, friendship with the hobbits, return to the Shire, your skill as a hobbit. I don't think I can get return to Mickle Delving. So I was told that we can, let's see, what does filters do? Show racial mode. Let's go into the enable and racial skills, Shire, Mickle Delving. If we turn that off, is there a save button? Do we have to close it and reopen? That's return to the Shire, that's return to Mickle Delving. Did I do something wrong? Yes, search button, apparently. Shire Mickle Delving store. Okay, there we go. So I was able to turn that one off. And it is updating live. Okay. Anything else on here that I don't care about? Return to Rivendell, thanks to your friendship with the elves. Where do I get that one from?
Sure.
Coming over to the wiki, return to Rivendell. For 295 LOTRO points. Okay. Well, I don't want to care about that one then because I'm going to be tempted to buy it. Okay, so yeah, I would say the enable window could use a search button, unless I'm missing one. Okay, what was it? Return to Rivendell. Where do I find that? Rivendell store. Okay. And return to the Tracer Archives in Rivendell. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. But I seem to have all the rest of them that I'm looking for here. Awesome. Ravanian. Gotta return to Mirkwood, return to Stangard, return to Durndingle. Yeah, you gotta put them somewhere. Don't have that yet. Don't have that yet. And that was actually an allegiance question that I'm curious about. Can you get Journey to the Court of Lothlorien if you didn't start with them, if you started with the hobbits? Like if I come in here to character allegiances and I go to the Court of Lothlorien, how do I go here? Because I've got a little home button for the hobbits, but not the Court of Lothlorien. Maybe I'll just have to go there manually. Okay. Neat. Let's go look at Gondor, I guess. Where's Mordor? I guess it's just Gondor. Yeah, that makes sense. There's not a lot you can do there except for maybe milestones. And speaking of, let's go take a look at our milestone skills before we move on to other things. Milestones. We have a return to Duland. Let's go to Eriador. I'm not seeing milestones. Find skills. Oh, that's fun.
You're at the bottom.
Yeah, okay. So we can see the milestones here, but they're not mapping them to their location on the map, it looks like. Okay. The writer points out there's a main window opacity setting.
General.
Fade, window delay, fade, window speed. I think that's probably for when you use it. It is not. Main window opacity. Toggle button opacity. You could put it to 0 as a challenge. Okay. And then, cool. Okay. Hide main window on travel. Right, there we go. Okay, well that all makes sense. Cool, nifty and so forth. Okay, well that's cool. Thanks, Hios, for pointing out that we hadn't upgraded yet. I am a little curious why hovering over one of these buttons was causing it to go transparent. And cool, I will send those notes on to Hios. Also, you appear to be able to drag this thing off the edge of the screen. I assume that's intentional. Being able to drag the main window off the screen intentional. I mean, it does raise the question, what happens if you drag it off and you let go? I mean, that 1 pixel is still there. That's a funny idea, though. Shove it up there and be like, it's time to travel. Okay. I don't know if that's what they're going for. Okay, cool. Let's move on to other things. So we had a big question at the end of the last one, and let's go ahead and only focus on Festival Buddy right now. I'm going to move the rest of that over there. So do quest progressions, when we get a quest progression in our chat, do they come in with a new line the way say stuff or chat messages in general do? So let's go ahead and create a new tab, and this is going to be quest. And we want to hook this into the quest chat channel and nothing else. Actually, let's go ahead and link it up into standard as well, because I want Festival Buddy 2 to echo out whenever we get a quest text. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of that. Let's go into the chat logger, and in filter quest, let's go ahead and say turbine.shell.writeLine. And we're going to go ahead and chat received quest. And we're going to surround what we put out in quotes. And this is going to be temp message. And we're going to add quotes at the beginning and the end so we can more readily see if there's white space in there. Okay, so in order for that to take effect, we need to reload our plugin. We'll go to the plugin manager and just load up travel window 2. Okay. No, of course not. Festival Buddy 2, one of the other 2s. And at this point, everything's fine. If we actually just had chat received that message, we can trigger that on our own. So if we just say that, chat received, you say, blah, 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 dot, and we can see that new line before the close quote character. That's going to be rather a lot, so we're not going to do that. We're only going to do it when we receive quest. But we do need to be able to progress on a quest objective. Now, does Affidel here have any quest objectives that I want to progress on? let's assume the answer is no, and instead go into maybe a skirmish to play around with that. So let's pop open. Well, let's get out of here. Take me somewhere. Okay, let's go into an instance, for instance, and say a defense or offensive. Let's do an offensive one. That way we control the pace and the attack at dawn. Trouble in Tuckborough. Let's do a classic one. Now we can do this at any level. I'll just go ahead and do it on level, and we'll pop on it. Okay. So we have some quest objectives. So what I want to see is we can see the trouble in Tuckborough, breaking the goblins, laying siege, blah, blah, blah. That makes sense. And we can see that this has multiple lines in it, but the last line doesn't end with a new line character. And then same thing with the new quest, Trouble in Tuckborough, we're not getting any new lines. So it seems by default, we're not getting them. But we haven't actually advanced a quest objective yet. So let's go ahead and free the southern hillside. I guess I should like eat food and do scrolls and stuff, just why not? Okay. Now, I was in Mordor recently, and I was playing around with the gamma levels. And I am curious if they make any difference here. It does not appear to. That's interesting. Oh well. Possibly because the sky artificially lightens up as you progress, sort of showing the approach of dawn, maybe? Okay. Progress has been added to the reward track. That's fine, but nothing we care about right now. I think I am done with the reward track, so yeah. Okay. Okay. Hyacinth's interest has been cleared. The better may be claimed. That didn't show up in quest chat at all. Okay. Freed Hyacinth's entranceway. Awesome. Even with some color. But it was no new line. And so that gives me an answer for objectives for quests in general. Next thing I want to check out is objectives where you need to defeat X number of things. I will need to find a place where I can do that. I am not thinking of any obvious skirmishes that are going to do that. I wonder if this helpful deep claw is the one that Little Redhead was talking about. Yeah, that'd be noticeable. Okay, let's go ahead and exit this instance and think about a quest that we can go get that will have us defeat X number of things. I'm thinking maybe one of the Durndingle resource instances. So we're going to go ahead and use the travel window plugin. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to Rohan, and there's our return to nickel. So we'll go ahead and activate that. That is a cute deep whelp. Oh, I turned down my graphics setting earlier because I was doing a thing. That's going to be noticeable. Okay, so if I were mounting up, it goes away. Yeah, and then when I dismount, it just goes boom. That's what Little Redhead was describing, so I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. That would be new off of this legendary item reward type. That's the legendary coffer of the helpful Deep Claw Whelp. Very helpful, very noisy. I guess it tells your fellowship members that you've dismounted. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and replace that or disable it completely. Okay. Let's see. Let's head on it. Great. We can see defeat invaders in Dirn Firel. 0 out of 20, and collect heirloom tools 0 out of 8. So this will give us an idea of the progression along those. So let's go ahead and take out this hill bear. Wow. Okay, so defeated invaders in Dirn Firel 1 out of 20 was all one line, so we're not expecting any new lines there. We'll go ahead and do a couple more just to show that it wasn't a fluke. And let's grab that heirloom tools over here. We are going to go ahead and pick up 1 heirloom tools. 2 heirloom tools. Okay. Get some good Rohan music or something. Okay. I've convinced myself that quest progress, especially this incremental 1 out of 8, 2 out of 8, 3 out of 8, does not come with an end line. So we're going to go ahead and leave this. Oh no, I guess I could do it. It wouldn't take long at the current rate. This is kind of satisfying. When I was doing this on level, this wasn't nearly so fast. Okay. It's been so long, I don't remember. I think the holder of the key is still a humanoid, not a bear, probably. One of the downsides of doing this so overleveled is that none of these enemies show up on the radar. Alright, the defeating the invaders is all done. We still need 2 more tools. And to find the key holder. Oh, we have to activate the key holder by coming over. Man, you don't do a quest for 6 months and suddenly. Okay, the key is required. Key warden. Great. Still missing 1 of the heirloom tools, but I'm guessing at least 1 will be found either on a body or on the ground up here. Yep. Alright, So we're all done. Let's get out of here and go back to coding plugins. Okay. So, what we can do with that is we can come on into the, where was it? Strings, probably. I have to find that. Let's turn these in, though. Okay, so looking at our recent commits, we can see that added German and French progress strings. Cool. Where was this? Oops. That was in, oh, it was in Yule. Okay, right. Let's come on in. So in our Yule progress strings, looted extracted patron. Awesome. Do we have any new lines in here? It does not look like it. It looks like we have new line free. So the default assumption was seemingly correct. Now, is it possible that quest progress in Yule is handled differently than everywhere else? Maybe, but that's a problem we can always solve later pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead and say, yes, we've tested successfully that quest strings don't have a terminating new line string the way so many other strings do. And our evidence is all of that. Cool. So that was one of the things. Another question someone had was, is there any way to delete alt information? Now let's go ahead and come on into Festival Buddy and come on into the window. So if we look at our alts window, we don't have any alt data. So let's go ahead and load the plugin on an alt. Okay, so we have to choose an alt to do. I'm going to choose one that almost certainly has a lot of festival tokens. Let's come on into Schildwacht. And load. Okay. Okay. So it has been a little while since I last logged on with Schildwacht, and I just got a bunch of new titles. I've been working on completing some 130 landscape difficulty leveling. Greetings. Excellent. Let's go ahead and detach that. Now, if you have an item that will give you a quest, you cannot put it into your vault or shared storage once you have the quest. But until then, you can drag it in. You haven't accepted the quest. So I'm going to put it there just because I can. No, I guess I'll pull it out. Okay, so let's come on over here and open up, well, let's load Festival Buddy first of all. Load. Okay, so let's come into the alts window. And we can see for spring, we do have Affidel. Let's go to Yule. We can see the Yule progress there. But how do we get rid of this character? And what does that do? I don't know what that button is supposed to do. And I would like to add one more alt in here just so we have a little bit more to play around with. So let's go ahead and switch to a third alt. second alt, I guess. So that drop-down has more than one entry in it. I'll also come in with my hunter, who has lots of guide to skills, if we wanted to see that on the travel window. Okay, so let's come into the alts window. We have Affodil and Schildwacht. And as we come to other festivals, we can see that these values are saved off. Schildwacht has exactly 2,000 Yule Festival tokens? Strange. Alright. Oh my goodness, a letter from Daily Utterage? Who could have foreseen such an event? Okay, so, question, what does this arrow at the bottom of the window do? And can we add a X-style symbol to get rid of the values for this current alt that are being displayed? For instance, if you've deleted a character, renamed a character, whatever, how do you clean that up besides digging into a text file? Okay, let's go ahead and come into the code so we can find out what's going on. We are probably in something called Altwin. We are, in fact, in something called Altwin. Let's go ahead and open that up. And let's see how this lays out and what it thinks is going on. So, we have the get alt names function. Awesome. We sort it so they're alphabetically ordered. Yep, very nice. If alts1 is not nil, then do stuff. Otherwise, don't do stuff. Okay. Now alt data access still need to load. Okay, that's fair. It's a good default. I like that. What else happens? We care about the window closing. We care about the position changed. Okay. So we have that. We have this. And the last thing we add is the button refresh alt display. It would appear. It has a mouse enter and a mouse leave for a hover over icon. It is clickable and refresh alt display get text. What on earth does that mean? This function updates the window display with a selected alt. Ah, okay. So for festivals that have time information, cooldown information, potential cooldown information, this would maybe let you refresh that information, which suggests it doesn't just track it live. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a delete button then. Now we already have an X button that's in use in some other windows. For instance, if we come into the Yule, no, that's the wrong button. Not the dance one. I was thinking the theater. Let's come into villain, and we can see the little X button at the upper right of this. That would be fine for our purposes here. If there was a little X button here, and maybe even add a label, remove this alt, or remove this alt's data, something like that. So let's go ahead and do something like that. Button to remove this alt's data. Button to refresh this alt's display. So we need a button to do this. We don't need it to be a global button, so I might go ahead and say local. Button delete alt data equals turbine.ui.control. The other one. What's up? Are you being a spaz? You are being a spaz? Yeah. Okay. So we're making a control. Now we could make an actual button, a turbine UI LOTRO button, but that would be this whole green thing here. And I think we probably don't want to do that. I don't know, we could. Let's play around with that. LOTRO.button. So first thing you want to do with something that needs to be visible is set that parent. And in this case, we're going to WALT win parent. Next thing we want to do, set size, we don't need that, but set position we do. So we're going to go ahead and do something very similar to the position for that other, except we're going to know that we want to do this, I don't know, like 20 pixels in or something silly. Okay, so we have that. What else do we, they have a blend mode, not necessary for the button that we're making. We have a background, not necessary. So let's go ahead and a mouse, click equals an anonymous function taking a sender and args. And what's that going to be? Turbine.shell.writeLine. Delete alt data clicked. Cool. So we'll know it worked. So let's come on in and unload and reload. Great. And we didn't actually set text on it. That'd be good. Set text. Delete this. Delete data for this alt. Now, we have the name, right? So let's be a little bit better about this. We have the names. That would be a reason to leave this global, actually. Let's go ahead and, in the refresh alt display, let's go ahead and set the text. So refresh alt display, which I assume gets called, yep, last once everything is drawn. Great. So if we have nil, then delete data for a name. Cool. Let's give that a shot. Update the delete button. So we unload, we reload, and we can see the button's not big enough. Let's go ahead and make it bigger. So button delete, boy, I think I misspelled that. Set width to 150, just play around with that. Okay, unload, reload, delete data for alpha. Boy, that's not great. Now we can see this button's going to be pretty wide. So let's move the refresh button to be that 20. And then start this at, how wide is that? About 40. And set that width to 200. And let's check that out. All right. Delete data for Affodil. That's not bad. Let's move it over a little bit more and let's make it wider. It's too wide. And it's a little lower than I want it to be. Other way. Now it's not. Cool. Okay, now, does it make sense to have this huge button at the bottom versus an icon with maybe a tooltip if we have tooltips in here? We do have a tooltip, fascinating. You got me curious. We have a libraries tooltip. We do. Yeah, I feel like having this be the tooltip message for an icon makes more sense. So let's go ahead and consider that. Now I feel like the skull icon and Titan bar is a little excessive. So let's go ahead and start with the X icon that we use in the emote window. Possibly dance? No. Emote. Yes. Sure. W emote assist parent. Where is this? It's in the main window. Fascinating. So this is create emotes assist. Okay. I'm not really worried about that right now. What I am looking for is the close icon. There we go. So instead of doing this button, which was a good starting point, let's go ahead and not do this. We're going to go ahead and say this is commented out, and instead we have a control. And let's go ahead and change its name back to here. Okay. We're setting the parent to the correct thing, setting the size, setting its position to something. We're going to fix these positions here in a bit. But for right now, it's okay. Set the background. We have the closed normal. Mouse in there. We have the hover over back to the normal, and on click, we have this. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. Yep, there we go. Forgot to make that global, and it's time to call set text. Yeah, that'll do it. Instead, we want a set tooltip. Well, don't have that yet. So let's go to 156. Set tooltip. Okay. We need to do something in order to enable tooltips. Let's find out what. All right, add this Lua project, this Lua file to your project, include it prior to any constructors. It will add 2 new properties to every control and inherited types, which will allow you to get or set a tooltip. Okay. Okay. Where is alt window getting included, and how is tooltip involved in the inclusion order? It's not in main win. How about main? Okay, tooltip. It's not being imported at all. Bonkers. The second T in tooltip is capitalized. Fantastic. Okay, so when we hover over this, delete data for Affidil, and we click it, we can see we get delete alt data clicked. Great. Let's get the refresh button more or less back where it started. Let's come on back to our source code, alt win, and we can see the refresh alt display. We can just go ahead and undo that change, unload and reload, and we can see that it's kind of smack dab in the center. What we would like to do is not have to worry about the centering ourselves very much. So let's think about that. Right now, the centering code is the width divided by 2 minus half of this, and the height is a little bit more general. Okay, let's actually drag it over here. Great. Nope, I don't want any of that, thank you. Okay, so we have something that's more or less centered in its parent window. But if we have control to center buttons at bottom of window, then we have a local centered buttons equals turbine.ui.control. And this is going to be the size of the two icons, of the two buttons. And we know that that's going to be 16 pixels for the refresh. We know it's 16 for removing the alt data. So add some space between them, maybe a whole 16. And we can go ahead and start crafting something that will contain this. First, we're going to set the parent to be w-alt-win parent. Then we're going to go ahead and say set back color to be turbine.ui.color. Whatever, dark red. Cool, let's just take a look at that. It's not going to be in the right position. In the alt window, it's in the upper left. So the next thing we want to do is center buttons set size. And we know we want it to be 16 tall and 16 times 3 wide. And we're also going to set the position to be the temp width divided by 2. What is temp width? Well, whatever it is. We're going to go ahead and do that. Minus some amount. But it's actually going to be centered buttons get width divided by 2. And then the other position, the how far down, not sure yet. Let's go ahead and check that out. And we can see it is centered pretty perfectly. Let's go ahead and get this moved down. Now, this was doing a temp height of the height of this is minus 35. That seems fine. Let's go ahead and see that. Okay, so we can see this is pretty much on top of the 1 button. We want to go ahead and slide that over, put this over, and we can get that done pretty well if we go ahead and use this new control as the parent and set the position to be, let's delete all. So we're going to go ahead and set this to be 32, and the height can just be 0 because we have a new coordinate system with a new parent. And then over here, setting the position, this position is going to be over by 0 and down by 0. It'll be on the left of this box. And if we unload and reload, we can see that's exactly what we have. We have the refresh button on the left, and we have the delete data for Affodil button. Now, if we go ahead and change this to Schildwacht, we can see delete data for Schildwacht. Awesome. So we're getting that live tooltip update the way we want. Okay, last thing before we're done here is we do want to get rid of that red background, or dark red, as the case may be. And then when we do that and reload this, this is hopefully going to seem a lot more natural. The last thing we need to do is actually respond to the delete data. So how do we do that? I'm going to think of a couple things we need to do. Remove this character from the drop-down list. And we're going to need to probably refactor some code to make this work smoothly, but this is just a starting. If the drop-down is now empty, revert to the message below, question mark. Remove this character from character data from wherever it is stored. And that's pretty much it, right? Well, is it? Let's go. How does this work? We get the name of alts from get alt names, okay? How does that work? We're going to go in caredata.chars, okay? Great. Remove this character's data from caredata.chars. And then if you're logged in as a character, we're not going to offer you a way to delete this. This is just for characters you are not currently logged in with that exist in the data file. So we're going to go ahead and delete. One wonders what would happen if you just called draw alt win as soon as you deleted that information. Let's be lazy and just call draw alt win for now. So we have caredata.chars dot, and then we need the name, which we. Where do we get that name from? So refresh alt display. This is coming from get text. Great. Equals nil. So we're going to set the value to nil and call draw alt win. Now I don't think this is a good idea because it's going to temporarily cause two windows to be there. It's also a bad idea because I don't have that save file backed off, so I can't easily undo this if it's wrong, as it is very likely to be. So let's go ahead and do something about that. We're going to go into Documents, Lord of the Rings Online, Plugin Data, Account, Server, All Characters, Festival Buddy Care Data. Great. So we're going to go ahead and save that off somewhere so that I can easily restore the contents. Cool. What does this look like? It looks like this. In the array of characters, for each character, we have the count of their tokens and other things that matter. So if we had a cooldown of 30 for villain for Affadil, we unloaded this and reloaded this. That, in fact, did not help. I'm guessing I had it loaded. So Affadil cooldown, what happens if there's a 30 in there? Nothing. I assume this needs to be like a timestamp, not just an actual cooldown. Okay, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and see what happens, because what should happen is we should have one entry for each character that's logged in, and only two of those are showing at any given time. So if we hit this, well, that's interesting. Haven't saved yet. If we hit this, it's not as terrible as I thought it would be. And if we unload and reload, we can see the only character left in here is Arda, no alt data to display. I'm going to go ahead and just copy paste those contents back. Come back into Festival Buddy. Okay, so is there anything I can see? Like, yeah, I don't like it because we're not reusing the existing window and just changing the contents. We're just like completely destroying it and building up a new one in exactly the same place with exactly the same contents, more or less, or at least the correct contents for what we're talking about. Let's go ahead and pull that back in. Yeah, you can see that second window was there behind it. It's so easy, and I don't like it. Okay, let's go ahead and unload. Again, we'll get that character data back. But I was able to demonstrate to myself that what I was expecting happened, which is to say, the previous window. Yeah, we could do that. We could be really lazy. If we just tell the previous window to hide itself, then when it gets cleaned up, or even if it takes a while, you wouldn't be able to tell. Set visible false. Okay, so Festival Buddy loads on up, and then okay, so hard to tell. Let's be silly here. Oh, not that. So without the set visible, let's go ahead and instead say w alt win parent set position. And that's going to be w alt win parent get left. Actually, we're just going to set the left. Set left to get left plus w alt win parent get width. So we're just going to make it jump one width worth to the right. Okay. So with that, if we come in here and we hit this button, we can see there's temporarily two windows. But if we set the visibility to false, then we get a new window. The old one is still being moved to the right, but it's being hidden and moved out of the way as it turns out. And then the new window is created on top of it simultaneously. And I gotta say, I think that is fine for now. Oh. So. I mean, on my screen, it draws pretty fast. So the fact that we're redoing this whole window doesn't seem like it's really impeding things too much. The way I would like to have it is that the function that populates the inside of this kind of be broken out from the drawing the window. The drawing the window calls that to either do drop-downs and all of this, or no drop-down and this textual thing. And that could be called after just wiping the inside, but at that point you're still doing 99% of the work, it feels like. So, nope, I'm good. Okay, so instead of trying to mimic the CTOR code and setting up the window, just hide the current window so we can't tell how long it takes the GC to get rid of it, and make a new one that will not contain the deleted data. Okay, so remove this character data. And we can get rid of that. Remove this character data from cardata.cars, and then hide the window, create a new window, done. Okay. Not a huge fan of it, but I also think this is going to be used almost never. The normal use case for this would be I have renamed or deleted a character, and I have its data in Festival Buddy, and I don't want it to be there anymore. I renamed Skillbox, don't want it anymore. So, delete data for Skillbox, delete. Like, I don't expect someone to just be hammering on this button for 50 times, and even if they did, I don't think it's a problem, so enough. Okay, so if we unload that and reload that, we only get the one alt. Perfect. All right, I feel pretty good about that. It's a compromise, and I'm willing to make it. So let's, after I remove whatever this is from my eye, get this change committed into source control. So first of all, chat logger, none of these are needed anymore. Main window, using tooltips for alt window. And then, nope, and nope. Okay, just this. Let's take a look at our changes in a in an external program. This is beyond compare. We can see we're adding in some stuff there. Here, changing how we set our position in our parent, and then update that tooltip. It's looking pretty good. So, added delete button to alt window to delete and alt's data. Great. All of that. Okay. So, I'm going to close out that file that we were looking at. Add a way to delete alt information, maybe next to the refresh button. Done. Good job, us. So, anything else we do before we do a release? So let's go on over to GitHub, where we can take a look at any other issues that might be here. Add a visible timer bar for eating contest tables. I think this is interesting. I think it'd be much easier to develop and test during Yule. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to edit the name of this, Yule. This will be easier to develop and test during a Yule. So we're just going to comment that, and that'll be it. And then if we refresh, we can see, did I not save? There's a save button? Oh, save. Okay. So Yule, add visible timer bar for eating contest tables. Great. After complete, great. We're going to ignore that right now. Then we don't know of any issues in GitHub for Festival Buddy. Is there possibly a to-do file that we want to look at here? All right, Nardar requested a link to Fibro Jedi pages. Now, I'm not opposed to linking to Fibro Jedi. I think they do great work, but HTML hyperlinks, URLs in a plugin won't take you anywhere. So at best, you could have a little text box that you could select the text of and copy that with a keyboard control, usually Control C, and then go into a web browser and paste it. And I don't know how satisfying an experience that is versus just typing in Fibro Jedi space Yule space guide into your favorite search engine. So I'm not going to worry about that for right now. Okay. There were some interesting things for Harvest Math mazes in here. Now, I think I did actually do some testing or some implementation here. So let's take a look at this. Festival Buddy 2. Let's go ahead and close the alts, emotes, and other window for items. We're going to come on over to Harvest Math and go to the map. It's defaulting to 1. That's fine. If I do /LOC, I didn't have a problem with that. Okay. So, if corner coordinates is empty, this was fixed elsewise, I think. Okay. Barter window, tree instead of a list. Ooh, that would be a nice thing to do for possibly ever. Let's take a look at the barter window and see how we feel about this. Yeah, what I would love is if Rosa Hornblower it could be collapsed or expanded so that you could see any other NPCs, and then new items could be a category under that. Do I think that that is easy to do? No. But do I think I would like it? Yes. let's go ahead and transform this into a GitHub issue, just so it's tracked there. And new issue. Maybe. All right. Barter window. Try using a tree instead of a list. Goal. Be able to collapse each vendor and each category. Each vendor's categories. Okay, we'll go ahead and create that and spend some time looking at that. So, barter items harvest math. Underneath this, I want a tree. Now, in the meantime, I can just put a tree there, tree view there, and have the list be after that, because I don't want to just delete what's there. So we're going to go ahead and come on into the barter win. Do we have a clean working directory? Just the to-do file. Great. And then take a look at this. We start with a barter win parent, and we have the background. We have the festival label, which is up top here. Let's go ahead and pull that over. And then we have the list box. Okay, great. So its position is 80 pixels down. If that was actually somewhere else, like 160 pixels, then that would give us some space to work with. All right, I'm going to move the plugin manager over here, unload, reload. Great. So now we have some space to work with a tree view. How does a tree view work? I don't know. Tree barter items equals turbine.ui.treeview. Now, is there a LOTRO one? LOTRO.tree. There is not. Okay, tree view. Okay, so we're making a tree view and we're checking it twice. We're going to go ahead and set that parent to be the barter win parent. And then we'll go ahead and set the size to be, now we know we made ourselves a space of about 80. So let's go ahead and set the height to about 70. And then the width can also be 422, that's fine. Let's go ahead and set the background, set the back color to turbine.ui.color.dark green, just so we can see where that is. All right, what do we got? Okay, we forgot to set the position. Let's do that. Tree barter items set position to be 25 and oh. Yes, okay. I did that wrong. Let's do local tree height equals 80. We'll go ahead and do that. This is going to be 80 plus the local tree height, and this is going to be minus 120 minus the local tree height. That should be better. Okay, so we still need the position, 25, and that's going to be 80. Okay, so we have the barter items, harvest math. We can see the space where the tree will be, and then we can see the list box. Now let's go ahead and make this a little bit more usable. I'll bump up to 160. And we're using the math, the parameterized logic that we just had. Maybe it will work. List barter items is not. That's okay. Okay. What we want to do now is play around with a tree. Now, in theory, a tree, each level can accept a control, and so the items going into the tree should be the same as the items going into the list box, except that they then can be parented properly. So if that's the case, any place where we're using the list barter items, we can go ahead. Oh, scroll bar. That would be nice to have. Let's go ahead and let's do a scroll bar. So, scroll bar, tree barter items. Turbine.ui. Actually, well, you can just copy all of this. So, list barter items. Let's go ahead and replace that. Okay, so we have a scroll bar. I don't know that it'll do much right now, but we have it. Cool. So, our list. When the size is changed. Oh, yeah. Okay, no wonder. This is wrong, but that's okay. Yeah, nice. What else do we do? In the refresh barter list, we clear the items. Okay. Clear. No. Get items. Let's go learn how to do trees. We're going to go over to the API documentation. We're going to come into turbine.ui and go to TreeView. This control displays a hierarchy of nodes that can be expanded and collapsed. This base control does not automatically expand or collapse nodes. It is the responsibility of the scripter to invoke the set expanded method on the nodes in response to user input. Fantastic. The redhead says, I'm cooking a frozen fish meal in the microwave and Casper is on the hunt. Yeah, where's that coming from? It's not coming from there. No, not my bowl. It's not the ventilation hood. Stop turning on the stove by stepping on it. Yes, that's where it's coming from. Okay. We are going to take a look at this. We'll have the tree view. Get nodes. Okay. So let's take a look at get nodes clear. Then we're going to go ahead and just, so we can see that this is working, we're going to go ahead and say local control, root nodes add, local node equals turbine.ui.control. Actually, we'll do a label. Node set text to be turbine.engine get game time. Number cannot match string. Let's get Ghosty says Casper knows what is good. Casper knows what is fish or chicken or cheese. Whether it's good for him or not, because we use a lot of garlic and onions in our cooking, and that's not good for cats, but Casper does not care. At all. Okay. And then we're going to say local root node. Oh no. What does get nodes return? Local tree node list. This ghost says sounds like my cat. Possibly. Casper is very unique in his love of protein. All right, so the tree node list, we're going to go ahead and clear that. And we're going to go ahead and say add, and it'll be node. Okay, let's see how badly I wrote that. Well, it didn't work. Cannot assign label to parameter. It needs to be what? All right. Oh, it probably needs to be a tree node. Aha. Local tree node equals turbine.ui.tree node. All right. How does the tree node work? Tree node is what? That does look like a control. Okay, so we're going to have tree node control equals this. Control set parent to be tree node control. Oh, actually, it's label. Set text to be toString of that. Well, maybe just dump. Sure. And then tree node list add tree node. Hooray! Let's go ahead and make this wider for the label. Tree node label, set width to be 200. Why not? Okay, so we can see 749. So if we come over here, still says 749. Oh, it's not wide enough. Tree node, local, tree node, set width to be also 200. Hey, there we go. Okay, so if we go ahead and change this back to Yule, we should expect, yep, that was about 6 seconds. Go to Hobnanigans, yep, about 5 seconds. Spring, cool, okay. So we're able to add something in. Let's go ahead and say tree node, set back color to turbine.ui.color.dark red. And then let's go ahead and do the same for the label, tree node label, set back color to, I don't know, turbine.ui.color.yellow. Sure. Okay, so we can see the yellow. It is possible that these are coincidental. So if we said tree node label, set height to be 20, and tree node set height to be 40, what would that look like? Yeah, okay. And then setting the width, if we set the width here to 250, okay, so we can see that I just purged poison. We can see that the label sits within the node, which sits within the tree. Awesome. Now, if we wanted to be a little bit derivative, we could look and see how the deed tracker plugin handles these things. But I think it's instructive for us whenever we're tempted to do that, if we have the time, try to do some of the derivation ourselves. The actual icons that we use for the plus and minus, it's fine. We can worry about that later. But for now, we can say tree node dot clicked. Well, let's come and take a look at the minimal documentation that we have. All right, so TreeView. Let's take a look. Okay. Do we have a node dot clicked? Collapse. Set expanded. Expand. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and say click. Mouse click equals function. Sender and we're going to say tree node set expanded to not tree node get expanded. Really? Is expanded. Okay. What does that look like? Well, if we click this, it doesn't do anything. Does it want a mouse? Uncertain. What's going on here? All right. I'm okay being a little inquisitive and saying if we open a folder, and that folder is deed tracker, let's look at set expanded. My goodness. Here, is expanded. So, tree deeds is the main tree view. Okay, let's take a look at that. Tree deeds set size. All right, and that's the. We clear the nodes. Okay, for this. Do we use it in anywhere else? We can expand all, we can collapse all, great. Okay, so it really looks like we're going to grab that dtab nodes. We're going to add something to it. Okay. This is a tree node. And what does this timer do? Update expanded icon. Fun. Okay, so we're never calling set expanded, we're only calling is expanded. So that's happening. Fascinating. And that's happening on the mouse down. Okay. Cool. Let's come on in and reassess. Okay, let's find out what's happening here. So we load up Festival Buddy, and we click here. Nope, we click here. All right, is expanded is true. It's always expanded. Fascinating. I think I'm going to have to relearn how this works. In the meantime, we know that if that is expanded, then the set background. Okay, so we're setting the background and foreground of those things. That's great. But what I don't understand is how we're expanding or contracting the stuff inside. So I'm going to have to look around at that a little bit. Okay, so this is an interesting starting point, but obviously we're not really ready to switch over to a TreeView yet. Okay. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and put that aside for right now. To do file updates. We're going to go ahead and stash everything. Release stash. And we're going to go ahead and unload and reload. We can see everything is back to normal. We're going to put together some release notes and make sure all of our notes so far are up to date. And then push out what we do have. Probably. Does that make sense? We don't have a festival for months. Okay. I will not do that. In the near future, though, in the next couple of weeks, if not before, I'm going to go ahead and push that out so that we are going into the next festival with only new stuff to consider. Okay. If I loaded up Deed Tracker, and if I hit expand, then stuff happens. And I would like to know more about how that stuff is happening. So let's learn a little bit. This expand collapse button we found is in the Deeds tab expanded section. And we know that these are defined here. So if I go ahead and say self, all of that, set back color turbine.ui. I really need that to go away. Turbine.ui.color.dark red. Okay, let's go ahead and see if that does anything or if the icon takes the whole space. Oh, it does. Okay. Oh, we set the background and then we set the back color, so now it's not doing anything. Or the back color seems to be dominating. Okay. So that is the thing. If we click anywhere on this row, including that, we're getting the click of this. So its parent is Deeds tab tree node. And here we have the mouse down effect. Now, this is concerning because it does suggest if you were really fast, you could maybe double click in a way that caused it to expand one instead of the other. But I think that's okay. I, without thinking about it, made this a singleton, or I inherited it from its former life. I made this a singleton instead of a table of things that want to be expanded or collapsed. A list of them. Oh well. Okay, so we have the mouse down. Let's search for other mouse. Okay, not a lot of mouse there. So when this expires, we're going to do the thing. Update expanded icon. And that's it. So if we don't do this, then everything still happens. It's just that little plus and minus icon don't happen. Or don't toggle. Okay, so the showing and hiding of this must be because we properly engaged with the tree node system. So let's see how that works. The other one. Did you get fish? Okay, so this is going in here. This is a tree node. Tree node is getting a control, well, it's getting controls inside of it. So let's see where else this is. So we set the size. Setting the parent, more setting the parent. We add it, and then we start giving children stuff. Okay, let's come back in to the Festival Buddy stuff, and let's use the sample code to clarify our thinking on this. So we're going to go ahead and pull in, first of all, it's using a custom definition. That's fine. We're just going to go ahead and define that there. Is class available? Well, possibly not. And then here, we can do the whole thing. Okay, we can see class is not there. Why on earth was that commented? Bonkers. Okay, so that did work. We can come in here and see how each one of these is getting it has its own space. It is getting properly hidden. Excellent. So already I'm wondering, what did I do wrong? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. First of all, I assume this is just doing the random back color, so that's fine. And it's setting its size. Okay. We'll make a tree view. We have a scroll bar, that's fine. We get the root nodes, and then we start iterating through, and then we make new nodes that are added to it, and then we add another 5 nodes to that, 5 to each one of those. Okay, so let's go ahead and modify this a little bit to have a label that includes the random numbers that were used. So local R equals math.random. We'll make ourselves an RGB. Okay. For that is our GB. And then local label equals turbine.ui.label. Label set parent equals self. Label set size equals 118. We'll just make the same size as the node it's in. Label. Oh, okay. I'm already getting a thought. Mouse. Set mouse visible false is probably a thing we need to do. In fact, let's go ahead and make this thing half the size. And then label a set text will be string.format of R G B. Cool. Let's take a look at that. Unload, load. Okay. We've got 0, comma. Let's make it most of the width. Okay, it's not big enough. Let's go ahead and set the size to be 30 and 20. Let's make this 150 and 125. And let's take a look at the window. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I am clicking on the label. I didn't actually set the mouse visible. Probably wasn't needed. Now we are seeing a bunch of zeros there. Not happy with that. So string.format. What are we looking for a number? Oh, are these decimal numbers? What's math.random? It is a decimal number. All right. Right. I don't think I like that nearly so much as what I should have done, which is just multiply them out by 256. Okay. Let's set this size to 200. Set this to 175. Yeah, okay. So we can see what we're expecting here. Now, scroll bar. Okay, so what we're missing is that little plus minus button. We would like to have that next to each node. And it feels like that would be a useful thing to have as a class. In fact, it might be so useful that I wonder if someone has done this. And if not, should I? TreeView. Tree. Okay. No one has put something out there that I can find. Okay, so why was this not collapsing? I'm not entirely sure. I am entirely sure. That is a label on this level. It didn't have any children, and therefore there was nothing to collapse. It is collapsing 0 elements, which is a no op. Okay. So having the label not be coincidental with the row doesn't get us very much. But that is something that we can do if we set the label background label set back color to be turbine.ui.color. Just black as an example. Unload and reload. We can see the label is not coincident with the line in any of these. Hey Casper, what's up? You get fish? Okay. Right. Okay. So I understand what was going on here. That was my flaw. So I like the idea of a TreeView library that streamlines some of this stuff, but I think it's kind of overkill, especially for what we're looking at right now. So I'm going to go ahead and nix all of this as a fun learning activity. Great. Here, what we need is we need to get a sense of divider 1, divider 2. Divider 1 is going to be right. We can have customized height. Great. I'm going to say, let's remove this for a minute. And function. Populate list view. And then function populate tree view. Okay, so all of this is list barter view. So we're going to put that there for a minute. So we're going to call populate list view and populate tree view. Populate tree view right now doesn't do anything. Okay. So if we get our scroll. Okay. Hi, Casper. What we want to do is kind of one for one translate in the ideas of populate list view into populate tree view. So instead of just adding items, we're going to have to keep in mind depth. And a couple of things to note, whenever we have a header 1, let's come on over to Yule. Like Jeffrey Bloomer barter vendor, that header 1 needs to be in the root nodes of the tree. Any header 2 needs to be in the children of the corresponding header 1, I guess. And then anything under that should be a child of the node that has the header 2. Now, my concern is that that's not strictly true. Like you could have a header 2 at the root. It's not how we're using. We're not being probably not being super strict about that. Let's go look at the barter items. Barter items. I was saying divider. Okay, so let's look at Spring. We can see we're using divider 1. Apparently I haven't updated Spring in a while. So we're using divider 1 as what we would be doing divider 2 as. And that's not the worst thing in the world. But if we want to keep ourselves flexible, we would just say whenever we hit a divider 1 or divider 2, then that starts a new level at which we will add things until we get to the next divider, at which point we will bip up 1 level. Does that make sense to me? Well, we'll bip up 1 level? How will we know how many levels to bip up? We might need to do something more intelligent, like if the previous level was something. Or just fix all these. Alright, so we're at a divider 2. So, if we find a new divider 2, then we go up 1 level. If we found a divider 1, we would go up 2 levels. I think we can make that happen. I'm not sure how we're going to do that programmatically. But again, it will probably be easier to just update the structure so that they all start with divider 1 and then there's a divider 2 underneath that. Okay. Well, I think we've done some pretty good investigation on how we're going to do this, or how we're going to kind of step our way from having a list to a tree. But I think we're going to go ahead and save the actual meat of that until next stream, so that we can spend more than just a few minutes and really focus in on getting something working, even if it's not quite right. Now, this whole top-bottom thing is going to be messing with the scroll bars and the resizing thing. So I think we'll start off tomorrow, probably, especially if I actually make a note to myself. Start off next stream by making the tree coincidental with the list so that it is one or the other. Awesome. And then we can just in code comment out which one is visible or not visible. Yeah, I say that. That's a really quick thing. What if I did it right now as we head into the finishing of this stream? If we set the size of this, set size, if we set the position, set the size, if we set the position, tree height's no longer being used, and then we just said list barter items set visible, false, unload, reload, right, it's the whole thing. If we then said tree barter items set visible to false, then we have that. Okay, so we're going to start with that. So that next time we'll be able to jump into making this look like the other with the ability to bit back and forth. Awesome. Okay. Well, that being said, I think this is a good place to wrap things up. Let me check my notes. Yeah, no last minute questions or comments in chat. So that is everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I hope to see you next time where we conquer making a list into a tree. And until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.